All right, it's your boy Spank Dog, aka Puffinstein, at YouTube and Facebook. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into it. All right. So, as you guys might know, I'm gonna come back with the lives. I got so much into editing that I like the way the edit looks better. Sometimes when you're live, you're extra with it. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good though. You gotta stop being worried to let your full true self hang out. You get what I'm saying? So, but anyway, I wanted to talk about some of the things that I'm gonna be doing. All right, first of all, we got the hoodie challenge going on. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday I wore a gray hoodie, and today I got a green, like acid wash type hoodie. So every day that I go live, it's kind of like it almost gives me a reason to go live. It's like you got to wear the new hoodie today. You know what I'm saying? And not brand new. I mean, some of them are close to brand new as far as condition. Some of them I've had for a while, but some of them have phrases on them that I care about, like Brooklyn, New York City, and even if it has a statement or a certain brand, I might like it better. First of all the people, I want all y'all to come in, of course. Like what YouTube person that goes live doesn't want people to come in? But I'm literally speaking to my people from 93 Park, my people from Cleveland Park, my people from 309 Park. You know what I'm saying? Like um all my people that I went to school with, Grover Cleveland, PS 81, IS 93, like y'all are literally on my Facebook, and I would love to see people pop up like that. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, the show must go on, and it's not no love loss. Everybody gets into their own lives, but for even the people that come in here new, like, just know that, you know what I'm saying? You're welcome, beyond welcome, especially if you're, don't do stuff that a creep would do. You know what I'm saying? If you really good like that, then you're beyond welcome. You know what I'm saying? Even people that have a miserable attitude, people that be on their bullshit or whatever, like, you're still welcome, man. As long as you can contribute something, or even just lay in the cut and listen. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, the hoodie was just a little small thing. The hoodie challenge, that's for myself. You know what I'm saying? If there's some way you want to implement it into what you do, you're more than welcome to. First of all, you know, another thing is you got to learn that it's okay to relax and take a break for a second. And then there's also the part where you got to start to realize that you're learning, and you're going to have to implement the stuff that you learn. So, like, every now and then, whether a person likes that you had to pause for a second, it is what it is. Alive, unless it's scripted, if you have multiple producers, if people are helping you, holding up cue cards, or there's teleprompters on deck, you get what I'm saying? Like, then it could be, the live could run smoother. But I'm just one person right now. You know what I'm saying? But I got a lot of love in me. That's what matters. It's really like that, man. Like, like, let me tell you something. This is a real sporadic, random, variation type live. You get what I'm saying? You're gonna get everything, and I want to ask everybody out there this question: why does it look like the people that have the most money are the most? Those people are bums. They could have did it for themselves. um um Everybody has a shot, and this and that. And and like I said, I when I talk about groups, I always say this, because you know that, like, if there was a army that was being led by an evil dictator, some of them troops are going to be wanting to get at that leader, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a fact. If there's an evil dictator leading a force of 1 million, I guarantee you there's good in that million, a lot of good. Some will be brainwashed, some will, even no matter how disgusting it is, think it's okay because the leader says so, or just because they're just built like that. But there's always gonna be good in a group that's large enough. I'm not talking about two people, a group of two people. Yeah, a group of two people can be 100% bad. But when you start to hit a certain number, there's gonna be a good guy, you know. So anyway, we're gonna talk about the 72 vultures. First of all, I should have did this from the beginning. Want to show you the man cave. First of all, a lot of people don't know. First of all, let me take off the ticker real quick because I don't want to have that playing all day. Well, but anyway, if you look, there's the man cave. Part of my concept is man cave, basement click, and I deal with the trading cards, the collectibles, and I would deal with anything that has to do with something man cave. So just so you know, this is my idea. I got it from nobody. This is all me 100%. And, from the moment I've talked about it, it's mine because, yeah, YouTube, once you publish something, it's like, I can't say this 100%, so don't quote me on this. But I believe once you publish something on YouTube, it's got sort of a copyright on it. Now, like I said, don't quote me on that because I'm not certain. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mini version right there. So you can still see the man cave, but it looks like a trading card shop. And if I am gonna create a space like this, it's inevitable. Like I'm gonna create multiple spaces like this. And like I said, this is my idea. You get me? But at the same time, everybody does collectibles. Not everybody, but people are really starting to catch on to the collectible wave. I've been collecting since I was 6 years old. That's 43 years ago. My father was giving me Mike Schmidt's and Willie Mays's and Carl Yastrzemski's and I was flipping them. We used to do this thing where you would flip the card and whatever landed a certain way on the floor, you would take all the cards. But we didn't know that it would hurt the card, or we didn't know that it mattered like that. At that time in 1980, 1984, 83, 82, cards were that's the beginning of cards and certain collectibles finally starting to be understood as like antiquities. You get what I'm saying? So people really started taking care of their collectibles after a certain time. And that's probably around when I was young, you know. So, but after people understood flipping them wasn't a good idea, that's when you started to see monster boxes. Booklets were like really the big thing, the first thing. I used to go to the flea markets, and the flea markets, they were that was the place to go to, do your card thing. Card shows have been around for a while. Comic book shows, comic book conventions, card conventions, you know. Like I said, I'm old school. I remember it was the Belmont, the Aqueduct, and then I remember going to the Elks Lodge, but that was a little bit later. This is NYC stuff, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I want to get into the 72 vultures. All right, the 72 vultures that passed. So let me bring up the video real quick. Now I'm actually doing a commentary on this, but it had an update. And like I said, I can't do everything edited, or I'm not going to be able to deal with you guys as much. And I got a lot to say. You could tell I'm a talker. But the thing is that I'm trying to talk about things that people not only don't want to talk, they can't talk about because they don't care like that. Big shout out to my son, man. My son took me to another level of caring. I don't mean to bring it up in every live, but my God, you guys know, some of you, that my son deals with. I'm a special needs parent. Just put it like that. and he taught me how to care more than ever. And I was already like that. He just took me to another level. So let me share the video that will add to the story of the vultures. Um, where is it? Share stage. All right, cool. I see what's going on. All right, there goes the 70 vulture story right there at the bottom. But don't worry, I'm gonna make it larger by far. You know, there you go, right there. You know. All right, so look, there we go. Now I'm included 100%. So I hope you guys like the hoodie. Yesterday, like I said, it was a gray one. Today it's a green tie dye jump off, as you can see. It's got this little hook here, you know. It's got the little hook right there because I hang them up on my door and my door has hooks and it creates that little hook mark that you see right there. But if I put a little wrinkle releaser or iron it out, it'll come out. You know what I'm saying? The hoodie's good, you know. One thing about hoodies last a long time. Yo, what's the name of that hoodie? The man hoodie, the bear skin hoodie. Yeah, like um, it looks good. You know what I'm saying? And listen, man, comfort, durability, all that stuff matters. So I'm feeling the bearskin hoodie, but if it's something that I would wear to floors like that, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it depends on how. Yeah, but that's not really the type of stuff I would like to like. If I was gonna look nice, that I would utilize the bearskin hoodie. But it looks cool though, and like I said, man, that's for when you want to stay warm. That's when you want to make sure that you got something that's strong, and that's if it is what they say it is. That's not like I bought one. But another thing that I plan on doing is buying stuff like that and unboxing it in front of you people. The game has changed as far as YouTube and everything. You got to understand, you got competitors, and it's okay if you nice like that, you gonna shine. But look, anyway, let's get into the story, man. The 72 vultures dropped out of the sky simultaneously and passed away. So what what made these vultures die? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play this report for you right now.
What? Tell me, how does this make any sense whatsoever? So apparently there has been a
First of all, big shout out to Minutes of Horror. He has two other channels, Seconds of Horror and Hours of Horror. And I would recommend you go check all three of them out. I don't, when you commentate, you're supposed to shout people out. And I've come to understand that you be having this fear of worrying about people, thinking you're not good enough. Nah, man. It don't matter what you cover, what you do. If they like you, they're gonna like you. They're gonna want to hear it through you. You get what I'm saying? So don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't doubt yourself. So let's get back to the story. Let me raise the volume.
bizarre update to a news story I had spoken about a few days ago on my other.
The guy who makes this channel is such a good dude. He seems. I've never met him, but how he comes off like he cares too.
The channel Seconds of Horror, where there were 72 deceased vultures. They passed away together. Their bodies were spread all across this one school ground in Ohio. The residents, they call animal control, they call the city, telling them somebody has to come pick up these bodies. The response was, we're not coming to pick up the bodies. It wasn't until local news.
I got an amazing thing that I'm going to show you, so stick around, pay attention to everything that's being said, and I'm going to show you how I researched and posed the question and got, at least killed what they said that it was something. I'm not going to say it so you could watch, but what they said it was, I can debunk it. And I'll show you everything in a second.
News had gone involved. did the city and animal control come out and take away the birds? They also said, given the very bizarre circumstance, 72 vultures found deceased together at the same time, they're going to go ahead and conduct some lab tests because there was nothing noticeable like a lightning strike or anything like that. Now, I had thought that maybe these vultures were poisoned. Maybe they ate one of these very bizarre animals, these lab-grown animals from a certain gated one, these rabbits with horns, these zombie squirrels, zombie deer. The anchor and one of the locals in that video I had played theorized that maybe they had bird flu, and we left comments saying that doesn't make much sense because how can they all just drop together with bird flu? 72 plus vultures infected with bird flu decide to meet up at the school and pass away together at the same time. Doesn't really make much sense, does not sound reasonable. Well, like I said, there's been an update, and surprise, surprise.
A shocking scene outside a Claremont County school. 72 vultures were found dead, scattered across baseball fields last week.
And preliminary lab test results suggest bird flu is to blame. Local 12's Chris Arnold spoke with the county's public health commissioner today. So, Chris, what did she tell you?
Well, Kyle, Claremont County Public Health Commissioner Julianne Nesbitt says they don't normally get involved unless there's human exposure. She says in this case, with the large number of birds and it being near a school, they were contacted by the Pierce Town.
You heard bird flu, they said. You heard it, right? That they said it was bird flu.
Township Fire Department.
The new bearskin hoodie 4.0 claims to be the most advanced, waterproof tactical hoodie ever made.
There's no way I could have known they were going to show that exact commercial live. That's crazy that I brought it up. Yeah, man, the bearskin hoodie looks definitely dope. But it doesn't, it's not I don't know if I would wear it to floss out, you know what I'm saying? But that's for another video.
But the real question is,
I've been in working in public health for almost 30 years.
And never a mass bird flu incident.
That's not
simultaneously. That's crazy.
Locally here. They are presumed to be positive. It's a presumptive report
for highly pathogenic avian influenza or bird flu.
So yes, that is the route they're going, bird flu. And they keep mentioning other animals like cows. They're telling people, watch your cows and so forth. So I'm sure this might lead to a even bigger story. What's even more interesting, as you can see right here, the city officials told the school, hey, just put the birds in the garbage like you would any other garbage. I'm sure it'll be fine. But luckily, reading the comment section from this local news channel, people are not buying it. They're telling the locals, telling the school to conduct an independent study because they believe that the city is, well, lying. Like this person says, I get that it might spread rapidly, but each bird has its own metabolism, etc. And it is difficult for me to believe that they all passed away pretty much at the same time and fell from the sky within feet from each other.
All right, now that's where I said to myself, I literally stopped it right there, right? So, I mess with ChatGPT. First of all, ChatGPT is one of the most powerful tools known to man at this moment. And the whole negative thing that they're putting out there is, first of all, a lot of people don't want you to know about it because it's power. It's so powerful, you have to be responsible. Right, but the cool thing about it is it's amazing. It's like researching and stuff is beyond easy. So the first thing that I said to myself, I was like, after the guy said that, I started thinking about, man, could they have all dropped at the same time out the sky from an illness? That means they would literally all have to have caught it at the same time, then weakened at the same time, and then one by one, instead of them falling off slowly, they all just came down at the same exact time. Now that's wild. You know what I'm saying? That's extra wild. Saying that a bunch of birds just dropped out of nowhere. And everything was in sync from the bird flu, 72 of them. It's illogical. It's a debunking in itself. Just if you stop and think and you literally get super logical with it, you're gonna come up with the whole, it couldn't have been bird flu. But Like I said, you know, Chat GPT is like a life calculator. Pretty much that's a good comparison, because with math, right? With math, if you have a calculator, you'd have the answer in seconds. It was when the calculator was first invented, it must have been looked at like the most amazing thing in the world, because these calculations had to been done through writing, through the long way, just really different than from an instantaneous answer, right? So now with Chat GPT, you get these instantaneous answers. So I say to myself, ask Chat GPT if it's possible, right? So, but the crazy thing was is that he said it was possible at first, right? But I'm not, you know, I don't want to listen. I think I'm special in a sense, but not special like holier than thou. Special like thinking that you know, I just respect my own mind. I don't really want to ever think that I could lose. And it's just because the attitude, it's a healthy attitude as long as you're realistic. Because of course I could lose. You know what I'm saying? But you still want to go in thinking that you got a shot all the time. That's a good mentality. Now, being realistic is also a good mentality, right? So the vulture theory, right? I go to chat, right? The first thing I tell chat, if I got it right, I said, because I call him G. That's why you see I had a series going called A Chat Between Me and G. Because at the beginning when I started using Chat GPT, I didn't want it to be like secretive or whatever. So I actually did a series, like almost like telling everybody, like, I call the Chat GPT, I have a name for it. Mine doesn't talk back because if you have a Windows operating system, it does. They haven't designed it where it can talk back to you yet. But if you're using Apple, and there's like one or two other ways you can get a voice out of it, it's crazy. It's bizarre in a good way too. Like I said, as long as you don't got people that have nefarious ideas, evil ideas, you know. But then, like I said, man, a evil person, you don't want him to have nothing. You wouldn't want him to have a hammer. But would you stop making hammers because there's a person out there that would use the hammer in a very bad way? Exactly. So you're not supposed to be so scared. First of all, fear is a bad thing. That don't mean you throw logic out the window, but fear is horrible. So you don't stop making Chat GPT in because of worry. You know, if something is so worth worrying about, then you correct it, you fix it, you revise it. All right. So I say, gee, there's a story about 72 vultures dying. I said there was an update recently on a news report that said they were sick from the bird flu. So, you know, a lot of this stuff isn't necessary. The chat bot tells me, G tells me, the latest reports, official statements say the vultures were presumptively positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza. You know, they say highly pathogenic, so that's important. So, you know, I'm gonna skip everything else that he got into and go straight to the next question. I say, yeah, G, you see, there's one thing wrong with the bird flu. When a person or even an animal gets diseased, especially 72 infected, they don't all drop simultaneously at the same time. I said, that's like a big hole poked in the story. And it's factual, you know, if like, well, it's logical, right? Beyond logical, logical to the point where the chances of what they're saying happen is 1 in a gazillion, 1 in a septillion. Septillion's a number I learned recently. So yeah, 1 in um 1 in a septillion. Let me check the chat real quick, see if anything popping. All right, so Let me get back to that. All right. So chat goes, G goes, I get exactly what you're saying, and you're not wrong to question that. From a biological and epidemiological standpoint, perfectly simultaneously death across 72 animals is not how disease normally behaves, including bird flu. That's a fair hole to poke. That's what he tells me when I said it pokes a hole in itself, right? So I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because he talks, he gives me info or whatever, but stuff that's not really relevant right now. Because at this point, he still hasn't canceled out that it could be true. So I said, gee, I've heard everything. I've been on this planet 49 years. I said, I've never seen 72 of anything die simultaneously unless it was from an explosion or something like, a natural disaster, right? He goes, I hear you, and your lived logic is solid. In 49 years, most people haven't seen dozens of living things drop at once unless. See, that's what I'm telling you. He's still saying something could cause it on a disease tip. Like, he still hasn't aborted the flu theory, right? So I'm going to tell you this right now. I said 72 living things cannot die simultaneously from a flu. I said that's it, period. I said, especially in a flock in the same group. I said, think about the odds. And I hadn't even really thought about something else. Them landing in the same spot matters because they weren't even inches or feet or yards apart. They literally dropped in like a group, which means like they really one didn't make it further than the other. They all dropped together, which means like it wasn't even to the point where one got a little weaker later than the other and dropped 10 yards further. So I said, tell me the odds on that. Honestly, I said, give me the odds. What are the odds of 72 creatures dying simultaneously, literally simultaneously in the same group or flock at the same time from a flu or any disease in the history of mankind for that matter? I said, I want a number if possible, and it's okay if it's an inaccurate estimate. Like telling them if you're off by a little, fine. He goes, because he calls me by my name, well, at least my nickname. He goes, Spank Dog. If you mean literally the exact moment, same exact second, odds from the flu, he said are close to zero. But I get it to the point where he says, no, it is zero. He goes close to zero, that any honest number is basically effectively impossible. He's saying this, he's very close to saying definitive, but he won't go there yet. He still leaves that one in a bazillion, right? So I end up telling him, he starts to do actual math, and he gives me an answer, but it's still where it's like one in whatever. So I said, yeah, but I said, this is the thing. There are no shared acute triggers. I said, for now, they're saying the bird flu caused 72 vultures to drop out the sky at the same time. I said, you got to keep in mind, even if the vulture lived a little longer, it would have landed further away. Keeping that fact in mind pretty much eliminates the bird flu theory. Some birds would have flown a little further, and others would have flown further than others. They were all in the same spot. It wasn't the bird flu. I said, that's your answer, right? So I'm over here telling them it's like not even. And big shout out to the guy who in the comments, because right here, if you notice, the guy comments, it's hard for me to read. He says, I get that it might spread rapidly, but each bird has its own metabolism, and it is difficult for me to believe that they all died pretty much at the same time and fell from the sky within feet of each other. You see, and big shout out to homie, big shout out to Minutes of Horror, and big shout out to the guy that he realized his comment. So I said, as much as I respect and I know how intelligent AI is, I said human intelligence is a gift that's beyond calculations. In the blink of an eye, I can understand the bird flu is a lie or they have mistaken. Right? That's me telling him AI is the best. Just remember who created AI. You understand? There is no AI without programming. So check it out. This is when he finally starts to understand that there is absolutely no way. I said, now that I presented you with pure logic and facts, that logic is the big thing here. It's impossible, correct? I said, it cannot be bird flu, correct? And if they think it's something that they're not supposed to do, they won't do it. He finally caves. He goes, I'm going to answer you cleanly, honestly, and without dodging. I even tell him, don't stroke my ego. I'm like, be honest. I'm like, don't say what you think I want to hear. Give me the other answer. It won't bother me. And he still says, no, you're right. He tells me that I've enlightened him. I'm going to answer you cleanly, honestly, and without dodging. On pure logic and known biology alone, yes, a flu causing 72 animals to collapse simultaneously in the same place is effectively impossible. That's not rhetoric. That's how disease works, right? So I said, when you answer my question, you say, on pure logic and known biology alone, I say yes. A flu causing 72 animals to collapse simultaneously in the same place is effectively impossible. Now, I told him I need a caption. This is the real test, because I tell him that I want a caption so I could utilize it to post on something I'm going to post. But, you know, it's my caption, but I want a polished version, right? So when I asked him to give me the caption, he would have rejected me if he really believed there was a chance that it was the flu. And he gives me the caption. You know what I'm saying? And I was happy, you know, because I knew that I had enlightened him and that he would have told me no. But all right, so check this. But then I tell him this, because now it's past that. Like, I was already happy that I got him to let me check the comments real quick. All right, cool. So it gets to the point where we're past whether it was the bird flu or not. Now, mind you, this is all for entertainment purposes only. You know, everything is alleged. I don't know. I can't say everything. Anything is factual, especially because I could get in trouble for doing it. So, but what I'm telling you is that from after everything I did, I would say definitely it wasn't the bird flu, I believe, in my opinion. So, it gets to the point where I'm like, all right, now that we established that most likely it wasn't the bird flu, I said, what could have made them all drop at the same time, right? And he goes, acute poisoning via shared the same food source. Vultures feed communally. If they consumed a poisoned carcass, an animal euthanized with toxic agents, a carcass containing rodenticides, pesticides, or organophosphates, then every bird ingesting it would be hit with the same short window. This causes rapid neuromuscular failure, disorientation, loss of flight, and collapse. So he's saying in that one that they could have ate the same thing. Right. But, you know, I already knew what it could have been, because I've heard recently about pockets of air building up toxic gases. And if something passes through it, they can die. Right. So that's what I was thinking. So the second one, let's see what he says. Secondary poisoning, not intentional towards the birds, but still lethal. Livestock treated with certain chemicals, pest control agents used improperly, contaminated bait meant for another species. Vultures are extremely sensitive to some compounds. A dose that barely affects one animal can wipe out dozens of scavengers. All right, but that means they still fed on the animal that was toxic. All right, here goes toxic environmental exposure. This is the one that I was saying that I was worried about because we take in the air. See, if they fed on a carcass that was poisoned, we're not gonna feed on a carcass that was poisoned. But if they went into a pocket of air, that's what is scary, because that means that a lot of stuff that's going on with disease could literally be being caused by the air we breathe. You know, it's scary that a pocket of air could build up because of the wind, the way it's blowing, or, you know, certain things about the wind that we don't even know about, certain aspects that would push a pocket together. You get what I'm saying? You know, so, all right, it says chemical spray drift, gas release, contaminated runoff, industrial or agriculture chemicals pooling in one area. That's exactly what I was talking about. Now, I'm not certain if, you know, it was the pocket of air filled with toxic air, but if it was, that's horrible. All right, I'm going to play a little more of the video right now.
This other person says, "Oh no, put on your sixth mask. Does it seem odd that flying creatures all decide to fly to the same location to pass away from a disease that kills relatively slowly?" And yeah, I mean, that's true. And you have to think of vultures too. They have extremely powerful stomach acid. So this story is just extremely, extremely suspicious. And I doubt that any independent test can be done like some people are suggesting, because I guess the city now has all the birds and they can spin this any way they want to. But moving,
mind you, I'm doing commentary on this too, but like I said, when the update came, it's too hard to make videos every second. There's so much stuff I want to talk to you guys about. I can't do an edit on every video, so I've decided to go live. Remember, this is the second hoodie because it's the second day of my lives. And tomorrow I will be rolling up. And if not tomorrow, because sometimes I'll take a break, but I'm going to keep the lives active. I'm going to try to knock out 3 or 4 a week. And every time I roll up, I'm going to have a new hoodie on. Not brand new, just different color. You know, different style, just a different hoodie. It could be brand new, but I have so many hoodies that I have from buying hoodies in the past. I think I could go keep it going for a month or two. And I don't even got to buy one or nothing like that. So let's see how that keeps going. All right. So I wanted to bring up this. He's going to go on to another topic. Let's see.
moving on to another.
Yeah, see, he's going to go on to something else. So I'm going to stop that one. And we're going to get into the Kristi Noem topic. All right. Kristi Noem was just put under pressure. You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, this is politics, you know, and I told you guys I'm not scared to cover nothing. So, you know, the one thing that I do try to give people a break from is politics, you know what I'm saying? Because it's, you know, it's just crazy. So, but anyway, I'm gonna pull up the video of them blasting Kristi Noem with this whole immigration, migrants, illegal aliens. They've gotten out of control, and there's a chance that there's a money thing behind it. Like I said, I'm not certain, but you know, there's a chance jails can make money off of this sort of thing. And if somebody's in cahoots with the jails that are locking up the migrants and stuff, you know, there's a chance that they want this to happen. And there's extra incentive for people putting it into play. Now, like I said, that's I don't know, maybe. All right. Just putting it out there, just saying. All right. Now, this is my son, Adam Maka. Like I told you to, I don't really share nobody that I don't echo their sentiment, that doesn't resonate, that that I don't think is like me as far as being a good person. So we're gonna have to pull up Adam Mockler real quick. You know, this the young gun. I always say it, you know. Big shout out to AOC. Big shout out to oh man, I forget the other lady's name, but big shout out to all of them. Ben Mysalis, Anna from the Young Turks, Rick Strom, Rashad Ritchie. You already know. And let me share this real quick. Man, Christy Nome, like it's obvious the way they did you filthy in this video. It's got to be to the point where you're finally starting to want to listen to the angel on your shoulder instead of the little devil on your shoulder. The little angel screaming in your ear like, what are you doing? But you're ignoring him still, even after getting embarrassed like this, because she gets embarrassed. I don't care what nobody says. I would be beyond embarrassed. I would change after this. If, let's say, I got down how Christy Nome gets down, which is foul in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? After this onslaught, I would change. This would be the epiphany, you know. All right, guys, you ready?
I got to show you all this incredible moment where Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem is caught live on TV, just left speechless after she's confronted over her own administration's deportation of United States veterans. One more time, the Trump administration has been deporting U.S. veterans who served for our country, who were shot and almost killed for our country, rather than targeting people who have criminal records in the United States. The Trump admin said that they would be allocating funds towards the deportation of violent criminals, yet they got into office and reallocated those funds towards farm workers, towards mothers just going to the courthouse to have their day in court, towards preschool teachers who we've seen get ripped out of class and then deported, and now veterans. These are stories that have been making the rounds online, but seeing the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem being confronted about this is next level. Earlier today, we also learned that a judge ordered Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia to be released from ICE custody immediately. A big day for people who like due process, who want to expose this administration's awful.
That's right. Release that man. Release that man. What's wrong with you?
Immigration policies. And before we jump into Kristi Noem, let me just explain. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia is the perfect example, the perfect microcosm of this administration's lack of due process. This was a man who was not allowed to be deported to one specific country. There was one country he wasn't allowed to be deported to, which was El Salvador, and this administration still did it. This is a Maryland father who was just taking care of his kids every single day, going through the proper processes to get his citizenship while he had temporary protected status, and the admin ripped him out of his job and deported him. It was such a mistake that they had to bring him back to the United States. Now that I've laid the groundwork by showing you how sloppy this administration's immigration enforcement has been, let's.
Man, listen, man, they brought homie back, thank God. I've heard stories, man. I think there was a story where they brought the guy back to his country. They deported him, and he didn't have any ties to where they brought him back to. He didn't know nothing. He didn't speak the language, and he was a diabetic. And it turned out that it got so bad because of him not being able to get his medicine, you know, the right food or whatever, that he passed away. Now, you know, I'm hoping my memory suits me well, because like that was just really like something that I truly remember, and I'm hoping that I got the details correct. But what I'm telling you is when you send people to a country they haven't been in 33 years, they're sending not only people that haven't been there in 33 years, they're sending people that fought for our country, that haven't been in the place they were born in 50 years. How does a man take bullets for this country? Let me take the hoodie off for this. How does a man or a woman take bullets for this country lives here for 40, 45 years, and you go and put her back in the country that he or she was born in when they were 4 years old, and say that's what it is. You fought for us, you took bullets for us, you lived here for 40 years, but go back to the place that you haven't been in 40 years ago, and that's when you were 5 years old. You tell me that's okay? Like, forget Democrat, Republican, bro. Like, yo, how come everything is Democrat, Republican? That shit is wild to me. How is not just right or wrong, fact or not fact? You're telling me that's okay? A person who took bullets for this country. I'm gonna play the video. You're gonna see them give it to her. Just how I was just speaking, you're gonna see these politicians. You know, sometimes I think we're worlds apart, but then sometimes I know that there's politicians out there that have the minds of everyday people, but they're just in a different setting, you know, and they have a job, so they're well versed in politics and stuff. So it sounds like they're from another world. They're not. Listen.
Let's watch this clip of Kristi Noem being confronted during a hearing on Capitol Hill today. Make sure you like the video and double check to make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed, because we are beating MAGA media and you guys are helping. Let's check this out.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years.
That's all good.
He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell Mr. Park why you deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD. Many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you to remember that
Madam Secretary, the man behind you, please stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally.
She got them. He got the people popping up behind her and everything. She's surrounded. Man, yo, big shout to homie Seth Magaziner. I believe that's how you would pronounce his name. Democrat, Rhode Island. The Democrat thing, I'm really not caring about. Excuse me. I'm really not caring about labels right now. I really don't care about labels no more. Not even rich, poor. I don't care about none of that. That is Seth Magaziner, and he's doing the right thing right now.
From Ireland when she was 11 years old.
This is just brutal for Kristi Noem, by the way. This is brutal for her.
She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80.
Let's think about that. 2 bad checks totaling $80. In some instances, writing bad checks might be looked at really bad. Not for $80. She shouldn't have done it, you know, whatever. But like I'm saying, like it's not even to the point where she'd try to get over on $100K, $10K, talking about $80. You know what I'm saying? Still not a good move, but very petty, very small, you know, and definitely it looks like she made up for her mistake
10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you.
Oh, her husband is what balances it, and even beyond balances, it tips the scales in their favor. The good outweighs the bad. You ever heard that phrase?
Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have broad discretion as the secretary. You can.
This lady, bro, like, come on, son, you in front of everybody. You still gonna do that? You can't be like, it's wrong. You know, let me tell you something too. For her to be one of the first people to have an epiphany live on TV, it would be historic, because it's not gonna happen. It never happened. It never will happen. But you know, like I said, one of the problems with police, and not all police, this is for the police that do what I'm talking about. When you're wrong, bro, say you're wrong. You'd rather take a man to his grave than say, you know what, you're right. It's crazy. This is the case, and so many videos that, you know, gain views from showing the situation. And in the situation, you'll see a man tell a cop something that makes the cop look like he put his foot in his mouth. Now, that's how you view it. If you're a smart man, you're just going to view it as, I didn't have it right. The person corrected me. I stand corrected. It's over. You're right. I'm wrong. Go ahead. And instead, they rather end the man. Or in certain cases, it goes left and the guy is wild to the point where he's not having it. And the mistake the person made doesn't hurt the guy physically. It gets him hurt. And then what's crazy is that the guy, some people would argue that what did you want him to do? And now his life's messed up. Your life is messed up. That's a double whammy. So, but anyway, let's watch Kristi Noem get destroyed by this man. The politician, his last name is Magazina, I believe.
Follow.
You can issue
the law
parole. You
and
can do all
enforce
kinds
the
of things,
laws.
but you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife, who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
I swear to God, if this stuff doesn't fix your pipe problem in under 15 minutes, I'll pay you 20 grand. And I'm telling you this because I've used it.
All right, that was brutal for Kristi Noem for a few reasons. In a 3-minute clip, we got a perfect microcosm of this administration's most reckless, most aggressive, inhumane, and severe deportations of people who do not deserve to be deported from this country. If he listed out people who had killed a mother of 2 and they were here illegally, no one would be protesting. We'd say, yeah.
Even though Makla is the greatest, and I want to get to the other cases, so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. It's not because he ain't dropping science, it's because I just want to get to the other cases. It's a little more important.
Or what about the woman who didn't come here illegally, this guy's wife, and she's been arrested for 4 months? An insane just rejection of due process and rights. To make matters even worse, Secretary Kristi Noem then had to just dip out of the hearing early. She randomly left the hearing while it was still ongoing after getting grilled by multiple people. Let me show you this clip and then we'll continue.
Gentle lady from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes of questions.
I'm just going to take the position that she was scared of my questions.
Wow, I told you. I forgot how brutal it was. Matter of fact, I don't think I made it to this part. I think I was busy. I think I seen the beginning and I had to do something and I didn't get to finish watching the video. Yeah, that's what a person that people would say is a coward would do.
Mr. Chairman, if we could stop the clock and
Oh, yes,
wait
no,
till after all
absolutely.
this.
The clerk will suspend.
That's
We could
wild.
reset the time.
Yes.
That would be helpful.
They're resetting the time, but she made the joke. Oh, was Kristi Noem scared of my questions because she had to just dip?
Gentleman's time has expired. I know the secretary has to leave, and I would now recognize a gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes of questions.
She couldn't take the heat. She had to get out the kitchen. I'm gonna stop sharing this one right now. Leave a comment if you just seen what happened to Kristi Noem. Yo, like you're breaking people's lives. You're destroying them. Like, how could you? And then look at that, man. She couldn't take being told the truth for 5 minutes while she makes people endure the stuff that you have to persevere over, like the hardest things in the world. She puts people through it. She couldn't take the heat for 5 minutes. That's insane. All right, we're gonna take a look at one more video. You know, there's a channel called Fright Factory, you know, and I'm definitely gonna give them a big shout out. Big shout outs to all the channel that I really enjoy and that I echo their sentiments. That's the biggest one, you know, but every now and then I'll show you something that's super wild, and it's not about, you know, for the betterment of the world politics. It's just because it's amazing. It's not even amazing sometimes. Sometimes it's sad, but it's also unbelievable. You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna go there for a second. Big shout out to Fright Factory. He's trying to make it to 100,000 subscribers. Give the man a hand. You know, I'm gonna show you how to give the man a hand. All right, let me share the screen real quick. All right. So there's a couple of videos that are really good in this one, but I'm just going to show you one or two of the ones that I think are the best out of the video. And like I said, the name of the channel is called Fright Factory. Let me big screen it, full screen it. And then while you guys are watching, I'm gonna hit them with, oh, I gotta bring it down. All right, look, the subscribe button is right there. I wasn't subscribed because I found them today. So we're gonna hit them with that subscription. We're gonna hit them with the thumbs up. And after this is done, because I don't want people seeing my Facebook like that from like while I'm sharing something, but I'll be sharing this to my Facebook after this video is gone. He's trying to make it to 100,000 subscribers. He's right there at 90,000, and he mentions he wants to get to the 100,000. Let's hope. All right, so here we go.
The man you're looking at is...
That's not the story. I don't know why he starts it with that. The story is actually about a town in Italy that gets hit by an earthquake. So we're going to play it from there.
On the Sunday evening of November 23rd, 1980, many families across a remote part of southern Italy were sitting down eating dinner. It was just after 7:30 p.m., and in the small mountain villages that covered this region, everything felt exactly the way it usually did. In one town, a group of young people had gathered at their local church to hear a visiting priest speak, and for the people here, this was just another quiet night at the end of the week, or beginning.
This is a town that was put together. This is like a town where everybody knows each other, and they pretty much built the town with their own hands, you know, but that's, you know, as sad as that is, because it's such an honorable thing that they know each other, they built it together. What happens because of a natural disaster, and then crime steps in.
Depending on how you look at it.
Oh.
So is this up to date?
Mostly.
At my last job, we used this tool called Scribe for onboarding.
The geographical region we're talking about, Irpinia, sits in the mountains about an hour east of Naples. In 1980, it was pretty underdeveloped. Some have even said that it was one of the poorest regions at the time. The villages here were pretty small, anywhere from a couple thousand to maybe 6,000 people, and they've been around for centuries. Families lived in old stone houses that their great-grandparents had built using stones from the area that were held together with cheap mortar or sometimes even just dried mud. People made their living from farming, growing grapes for wine, and raising sheep. Just try to imagine it as somewhere where life was very slow and everyone knew everyone. The thing is with this location is that when the sun went down, the villages were basically cut off from the outside world. The roads that went through these mountains were narrow and very difficult. Phone service barely existed, and if something went wrong, you're pretty much just on your own until the sun came back up. One of the worst things that could have gone wrong is something that had struck in the area before, an earthquake. The thing is, it had been so many years since the people here were affected by one, and so many of them went through their lives not expecting one to ever hit again. And it makes sense. I mean, these are natural disasters that happen at random, but they were more common than a lot of people knew. Major earthquakes hit there many times in the centuries leading up to this, and the old buildings had been damaged, but each time they were never properly fixed. One problem involves the government. There's going to be a lot of this, but they hadn't even classified most of this region as earthquake prone. So there were no special safety requirements for construction. The houses that people trusted to keep them safe, the churches they gathered in every Sunday, many of these buildings had serious structural problems that nobody was paying attention to. And this is because for many people living there were bigger things to pay attention to, like putting food on the table. Very horribly, though, this area was about to experience a devastating earthquake, and no one there had any idea it was coming. At 7:34 p.m. on Sunday, November 23rd, 1980, while families were still at their dinner tables and those young people were still sitting in the church pews, the ground beneath them started to shake. This was not a quick jolt, it was a deep rolling motion that went on and on, caused by 3 separate ruptures underground happening one after another. In total, it lasted about 90 seconds, and it seriously must have felt like it was never going to end. Here's another recording of the earthquake that was caught on a nearby radio station. This one is very eerie.
Man, the destruction. This audio was recorded by Radio Alpha 102, a local Avellino. That's crazy, Avellino. That reminds me of The Godfather. I'm not sure, but Avellino radio station that was playing folk music during the time of the earthquake. I have very mildly reduced the pitch and speed as I cannot extract the music. You could see in the shade, look at what happened to the town. It was reduced to rubble. That is so sad. He's going to give you numbers on how many people passed certain things in a second, so I'll let him say it.
Now, I didn't show you the entire thing, but again, it lasted around 90 seconds. And for these old stone villages, this was more than enough time for absolute disaster. Buildings that had stood for generations came apart, walls collapsed into the streets,
look at that,
roofs caved in, and in the town where the young people had gathered for that visiting priest, the ceiling of the medieval church fell on everyone inside. Inside there alone, 100 people lost their lives. In another village of about 1,500 people, entire blocks were flattened so fast that families never even got the chance to make it out of their homes. One mayor passed away while trying to dig his neighbors out of the rubble after a wall gave way directly on top of him. And there are so many stories here, but another horrible one I read was that an orphanage came down on the children sleeping inside.
All right, guys, now he starts to talk about how because of that, when they went to fix the town, they gave money to the town to fix, and organized crime or just criminals in general, I'm not certain, moved in. I think it was organized crime, and they got rich off of what was supposed to be for the town being put back together.
Thousands of people standing there or Officials completely missed after the earthquake that Italy's president, against the wishes of his nobody had reached them in time. Criticized his own government's response like this. 5,000 houses.
When my team pitched the idea, I thought it was impossible. A pan that sears like stainless, lasts like cast iron, and
had been completely destroyed, and in one small village alone, more than 300 people. I urge you to look into the actual journal live or pulled out within the first 40. Tolerance for things not working the way they should of Ontario. This disaster stretched on for decades and decades and revealed problems that went far, far beyond just a slow rescue operation. When the government started sending money to rebuild the region,
Here we go.
which amounted to tens of billions of dollars over the
tens of billions of dollars. Check this one out. This is exactly what I wanted to get to. First of all, the whole thing is awesome. So, like I said, definitely subscribe.
Far, far beyond just a slow rescue operation. When the government started sending money to rebuild the region, which amounted to tens of billions of dollars over the years, organized crime moved in almost immediately. Within 2 weeks of the earthquake, a mayor who had tried to stop criminal groups from winning reconstruction contracts was murdered. And this eventually became one of the biggest corruption scandals in Italian history. Politicians accepted bribes, and by some estimates, less than a quarter of all that money, tens of billions, actually made it to the people who needed help. Some towns were so thoroughly destroyed that residents just gave up on them entirely, eventually relocating to build new villages somewhere else. And by 10 years after the earthquake, thousands of people still lived in temporary shelters, and the region has simply never recovered its population. People just kept leaving. But again, the disaster did force Italy to finally build a real emergency response system, and the building codes got rewritten so that every part of the country is now classified by earthquake risk. The president's words from that broadcast have become the main lesson people remember. It's not the earth that kills, he said. It's bad buildings, slow responses, and a tolerance for things not working the way they should. For the families who lost everything that Sunday evening, these lessons came far too late to matter. Rest in peace to every single person who lost their life in this tragedy.
So
I hope the hundreds of thousands of people who are affected by this and are still around, as well as their families, have only been getting better.
All right, I wanted to show you one more story. This is the one that I wanted to show you guys besides the earthquakes. First of all, how are you gonna, how is the town gonna get destroyed and you're just gonna take all the money to repair it? I mean, like, I know that's what criminals do, especially like depending on how, extreme, how in the life they are. Like, to some people it's second nature or they're born into it, but that's not an excuse to leave that town destroyed like that. So in the next video, a little girl goes missing and she's never found, but the elements surrounding the case are beyond sketchy. And I believe if they put enough work into finding the little girl or what happened, not finding her because she passed, but I mean finding out what happened to her and if it was foul play or not, they can. Now, the mother is looking for justice still to this day. So, big shout out to the mother. If this ever helps for her looking for answers, God bless her. My heart goes out to you and your family. And let me do this real quick because I wanted to do this. Like I said, hit up Fright Factory and go subscribe. He's trying to make it to 100,000 subscribers. And he got a good channel. All right, so let's find out about the little girl that went missing. I believe her name is...
The 2-year-old girl at the center of this story is named Vienna Rose Irwin. And in May of 2023, she was living with her parents, Claire and Clayton Irwin. And the co-girl at the center of this story is named Vienna Rose Irwin. And
we'll leave it paused for a second so you guys can see her name clearly. Vienna Rose Irwin. It's not okay that the answers were never found. And like I said, this lady right here, whoever she is, You know, they probably don't want to give a ton of info about her name and her face, but God bless her, she's still fighting.
In May of 2023, she was living with her parents, Claire and Clayton Irwin, in the Cobourg area of Ontario. She was a very lively and bubbly young girl. People who knew her described her as always smiling, and for that reason, her family gave her the nickname Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Like a lot of working parents, Claire and Clayton sent their daughter to daycare while they were at work. In this case, it was a place called Watch Me Grow Daycare on Baltimore Road in Hamilton Township. It was operated by a woman named Diane Dennis out of a converted house, and it had been running since 2011 with a full provincial license. According to the Ontario Ministry of Education, the facility had no history of serious incidents, but an inspection 3 months earlier had flagged 8 requirements that weren't being met. Records say these were resolved, but nobody has ever disclosed what those 8 things actually were. The property also included a fenced-in outdoor playground area where the toddlers could spend time during warmer weather, but it was...
Now, I'm not going to say what happens to the little girl because the way he sets it up, he wants you guys to find out after a little bit of the story's told. So I'm not going to blow it up. Let's watch.
Inside this very area where something unbelievable happened. And if you're not familiar with this case, like I wasn't, get ready because it's pretty bad. So the morning of Thursday, May 25th, 2023 went just as it usually did. Claire would put little Vienna into the car and buckle her in. They'd head out, and then she did what she did plenty of times before. She dropped Vienna off at Watch Me Grow Daycare. From here, Claire would go about her normal daily routine, and then later in the afternoon, when she was done, she drove back to the daycare to pick up her daughter. On this Thursday, she arrived just after 5 p.m., and when she got there, the staff told her that Vienna was missing. And even worse, despite knowing that Vienna was nowhere to be found, nobody was looking anywhere for her. Police had not been notified, and Claire hadn't even been notified until she arrived.
That's what makes me think that they know something more than what they're letting on to. The fact that nobody did anything and waited all the way till the mother got there, and then pretty much the mother had to take over.
This sent Claire into a massive panic. She looked around quickly and then took the lead and called 911 at around 5:17 p.m. And very quickly, the area flooded with emergency responders. Neighbors came out to help, fire trucks arrived, people searched the woods, the ditches along the county road, anywhere a toddler might have wandered. But remember, Vienna was in that fenced-in area. It was not possible for her to leave. So where could she have gone? One neighbor later said that watching the mother during those moments was something she'd never forget, and for about 45 minutes, nobody knew where she was. But they would eventually find little Vienna at around 6 o'clock. Vienna wasn't in the woods or wandering down some ditch along the road. She was inside a septic tank on the daycare property within the fenced-in playground area where the children played every single day. And according to multiple people who were close to the family, she was found with the tank sealed. It wasn't open, it was sealed. The lid was on. A septic tank access was just in there where kids played.
Now, that's why I wanted him to reveal what happened. First of all, rest in peace to little Vienna, aka Sunshine. You know, kids are the most beautiful thing on the planet. And for something like that to happen is beyond tragic. But I don't think it was an accident. So, like I said, I don't want to get too much into my speculations with this because this is very serious. You know, just know that the mother is still fighting to this day. And that, you know, like I said, I don't want to rile anybody up, but it just don't make sense, the cap closing on its own.
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales.
Hands down.
So for me, email composition.
When Vienna was pulled out, she was unresponsive. Paramedics did CPR and rushed her to a hospital with a police escort, but it was too late. Vienna Rose Irwin was pronounced deceased. Early news reports described it as an open well and said she had wandered off the property, but the family and people who knew them have consistently said that this ever learning what actually happened to her or how she ended up in there. The autopsy results were never released, and nobody explained how Vienna got into that tank or who closed the lid, so the families started fighting. They launched what has since become a massive campaign, the Justice for Vienna campaign.
I'll pause it there so you guys can get a look at that. Definitely, if you ever want to sign the petition, there you go right there. You know, I think I might have to hit that up. I think I am gonna hit that up. I'm gonna hit that up. Had to change that statement 3 times. It don't make sense not to sign this petition. Anybody out there too, you know, if you believe in it, the petition and sign it, definitely.
Which has gathered over 16,000 petition signatures and raised more than $140,000. In May of 2025, they filed a civil lawsuit against Diane Dennis, her husband Edward Dennis, the staff members, and various contractors and oversight authorities.
There you go.
At a rally on the 1-year anniversary of Vienna's death, about 100 people showed up in Coburg holding signs covered in butterflies, her favorite thing. Justice for Vienna signs are absolutely everywhere in this area, and some people have said that the signs keep getting removed from properties in Baltimore and Coburg.
Why would they get removed? It's for a little girl. All right, so we're going to leave it there with that one, you know. So far we covered the earthquake, rest in peace Vienna, the Christie Gnome running out of the whatever you would call that, deliberations, whatever. You know, I don't know the technical terms for things in Congress and stuff like that, but they were definitely questioning her and pressing her, and she didn't fare too well, you know. And then and then we also covered the 72 vultures. So the 72 vultures thing is scary, definitely. You know what I'm saying? The Christie Gnome thing is just something that gotta change. I'm praying she had an epiphany. I doubt that, because she walked out. She didn't look enlightened at all. I don't think she cares at all. That commercial that she did is horrible. It's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? And she's a foul person, in my opinion. She's got Karen written all over her. People, listen, man, don't let a guy like Elon Musk tell you woke this, the woke disease, and that's all bullshit. Being woke is a good thing. Like I keep telling people, why would you agree with a person that's saying, yeah, stay asleep so we could take over everything and do all sorts of foul things to y'all? And also, I'm going to try to make it not cool to say woke. Like, you stupid? You crazy? Like, you over here, let me tell you something, man. I listen, man, when I was young, I was shining like a star. And I'm still shining. You know, we get fresh like no other. And like, you know, let me tell you something. I'm not broke. You know what I'm saying? But about Elon Musk, of course I don't got money like that. But that don't matter. That don't matter. I wouldn't want to be Elon Musk. If I would want Elon Musk's money, that depends. You know what I'm saying? You know, not if I'm gonna lose my life, not if I'm gonna be ridiculed for helping people. You get what I'm saying? But of course I want that money so I could help people. There's no way in the world I would turn down them saying, here's whatever, however many billion. I'm gonna go straight to the hood with that. You know? And I'm not saying like with it like out in the open, like I'm just saying like I'm gonna be giving that out to people, some of that. You know, that's real shit too. Like I'm not playing. That's on my son. You know what I'm saying? That's on my son. My son's special needs. Like, you know, I love my son. I've been with my son since day one. It's year 15. I've never not slept in the same house with him unless I've been in a hospital. And my son's severe autism would make a lot of cowards run away. I never flinched. I've cried. It's not the same thing as flinching. You know what I'm saying? He got some nerve talking about there's a disease. Like, listen, man, I am attracted to the opposite sex. So I cannot speak for a person that's attracted to the same sex. But I will say this. I do believe it's not something they choose. I believe that they don't say oh, I choose to be attracted to. No, I believe that they are attracted to the same sex, and that's how it is. There is no choice. Now, there's a comment section, and I want to hear if from anybody, a person who is attracted to the same sex, because they're the one that knows, and you tell me if that's something you have any control over, or if it's something you're born like that. You understand? You know, the the 72 vulture thing is wild. Like, like I know it's not the end all be all, but like when you realize that whatever killed them can be being inhaled by you, that's what's scary. And that's not a definitive answer. Nobody knows. Like one of the viable answers is that they ate from a poisoned carcass, or the food that they ate was poison, and then they all dropped at the same time. So the vultures, it's not definite that it was something in the air or if it was something they ate, but that's just wild. The way Christy Nome got blown up, oh man, that's really good. She really ran out of that place. Like, she couldn't take people telling her, look, this is the person you deported. He fought for this country. He lived here 40 years. He hadn't been in his original country since he was 5 years old. He was 50 when you deported him. And he fought for this country and took 2 bullets. She couldn't take it. Like, they really got her good there. I that's the way that I want people that are thinking like foul human beings. That's how I want people to get them. I don't want them to hurt them. I want them to use words and strategy that would enlighten them. And if it don't enlighten them, then they're going to be evil or slimy or grimy till the day they die. And there's nothing you could do to help certain people. Hopefully, it struck a chord with her. I doubt it. She'd be up on that commercial talking about, yeah, we're deporting everybody. Anyway, what's the other thing we covered? I really wanted to close it out with the J.R. Ryder freestyle, but I'm worried that they're gonna hit me with a copyright jump off. Let me bring it up real quick though. This freestyle is fire. You know what I'm saying? Let me see something.
Is on the radar radio. Stand closing doors, please.
All right, hold on. Let me get to the part that I really care about, because I like Hellrell's verse. But this is the thing I wouldn't mind giving you a little outro with. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I hope that this does. I hope I don't have to cut this out. I hope that they leave it stand and give you a little taste of JR. He's definitely a ill MC, and I want you guys to know that this channel is about everything. If I had everything set up now, I would have help, but I don't got the help right now. But it's gonna get better. It's definitely gonna get better. Hellrell could spit too, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not here. I'm here to just tell you if these dudes is lyrical or not. And in my opinion, they're lyrical. They definitely make the cut. So even though Hellrell can spit fire, I'm gonna just play the bit of the JR verse, because when it comes to music, it's different. So I'm gonna just play a couple of seconds of his verse, and we're gonna say goodnight to you guys.
Right as a stepper, lie to me and lie on a stretcher. I'm a finesser, I just keep applying the pressure. Like an investor, quietly providing the testers. Bricks put me on my feet, I ain't Nigel Sylvester. I'm a seasoned guy, baby, this easy. I don't need to lie, send a beat this way and believe me, it won't be alive. All this music making me sleepy, I don't need to lie.
Yeah. Yo, listen, man, as much as I would love to let that play on, I don't think I could give you too much of that. So we're going to stop the share. You know what I'm saying? We're going to let you enjoy the man cave setting real quick. We're going to let y'all chill. You know what I'm saying? If y'all need a place to meditate real quick, the man cave is your space right there. You know, I'm going to even pull down the banner real quick. And that's it, man. You know, when you was a kid, everybody loved the arcades, especially before Nintendo and, you know, Atari. You know, that's what really started pulling the kids away from the arcades, but they weren't good enough. I would say when the first Xbox, you know, the very first Xbox or even Nintendo 64 with Bond, that's when kids started getting pulled away from the arcades. But before that, you know what I'm saying? Like even Metal Slug around that time, that was right there when the transition happened. I would say Metal Slug is definitely a good thing to point out. You know, Street Fighter, you know, those were the final games that, you know, rocked out like that before the systems took over 100%. Call of Duty, Destiny, Halo, Fortnite, Battlefield. These are all the best games. Rainbow Six, even Counter-Strike, you know what I'm saying? Resident Evil. What else? Oh, Grand Theft Auto. Those are the biggest games in the world that I'm saying right now. And even the probably Apex Legends was one of the more recent ones that became that big. You know, the parachuting in and fighting one versus 100, that became real big. I don't really like it personally. Me, I'm more of the Halo, Call of Duty, Destiny. You know, Destiny was a mix of MMORPG and, you know, FPS. So Destiny is literally a MMORPG FPS. Yes, I am a gaming nerd. I have, oh, if you're new to the channel, you could check me playing zombies on Call of Duty. You know, oh, you could check me out playing Gambit and going nuts. You know, showing you how nasty I am at Gambit. In Gambit, I'm in the top percentile in the world in certain categories. So Gambit is my thing. Listen, man, if you collect cards, if you care about the world, if you know, if you're a gamer, a collector, you know, the politics, if you care about the world, I mean, there's just so much things. Even the alien UFO thing, we do it all, man. And thank God, you know, I can tackle a few things and still make it official. Listen, it's your boy Spank Dog, man. Remember, this is your spot right here. This is the man cave. This is the basement. You know, basement click right here. You guys ever need a spot to chill, relax, or whatever, you already know, man. It's your boy Spank Dog. I'm out of here. Much love. Real love. No fake shit. No phony stuff. You know, a lot of people out there want to act like they care and they don't. A lot of people think being professional for 8 hours makes them something special. It doesn't. This is a 24-hour, 7 days a week, month-long, year-long, lifelong thing. You know, my pops told me about honor. My pops told me about helping people. And there ain't no looking back. I don't give a shit what nobody says. You know, but I also don't want to close out the video on some aggressive stuff. This is also about peace more than anything. You know, how hard is it to not want to fight, even if it's over you hearing something you don't agree with? It's time for people to be able to disagree with each other and not hate each other. This is very real. Listen, guys, you can listen to all my videos. I curse once in a while. I never say I hate this person though. Me saying I hate a person is more disgusting to me than a curse word. That's really how I feel. You know? Anyway, listen, man. Me, Jaden, my lady, we all send our love to everybody out there. I'm out. It's a wrap. I'm back live. Check for me around the 1 o'clock slot. That's what I'm going to try to focus the channel on, is the 1 a.m. time frame, because I'm a night owl. It's just what it is. And like I said, as aggressive and passionate as I can be, I still want this to be about peace and love. It's your boy Spank Dog, man. I'm out of here. AKA Puffinstein too. People like, why you say Spank Dog? I thought it was Puffinstein. It's both. Big shot, rest in peace to my little cousin, who that name was triggered by. We were just talking about gaming. The name Puffinstein was triggered by my little cousin, who is not with us any longer, and he passed at a young age, which is very sad. But he was the one that, when we were playing Wolfenstein on my Xbox, big shout out to British Columbia, Canada, I used to have a clan called BC, and it was BC Metal Militia, BC Faded Lines, BC Chrissy, BC Spank Dog, BC Evil Jedi, BC Sickness, BC what was this guy's name? He was so good. Oh man, this guy could snipe you from a million yards out. I wish I could remember his name. He was probably the best on our team. But anyway, big shout out to him too. Listen, man. Rest in peace, Nene. Thank you for the name Puffinstein. He put it on my Xbox when we would play Wolfenstein, and I've been using Puffinstein ever since, man. Rest in peace, Nene, man. I love you. Have a good night, everybody.